Yo, Pittsburgh Comic Expert here. Doing a spotlight on my carded action figure collection. I used to have a lot more than this, but I sold a bunch of them because Star Wars stuff is just so overproduced. It's really not worth holding on to. And I didn't want to open them up and give them to my kids because they're not really old enough for those yet. And if my kids want those again, I can always go out and get them for probably less than what I paid for the ones that were deemed to be collectible, given my Dr. Evil air quotes here. So I did keep a handful of Star Wars ones, so I'll show you those. And then I've got some weird ones that you may or may not have seen. Just depends if you're into the figures. Not not without shame here. I probably will be willing to trade or sell any of these. I don't really... there's a handful that I have no desire to sell, but most of the other ones that I have here are for sale or trade, depending on what it is. I just really don't have the foot or the place to keep these anymore, and they just kind of sit in the attic, unlooked at, undisplayed. And the whole reason I even thought about it is I found them when I was putting my Christmas tree and decorations away. So, without further ado, the one you can see, and I don't know how well you can see it, that is the Darth Maul from Tatooine, with just the single side of his lightsaber. It's kind of hard to see him because it's a smaller figure, but I did get a couple of Darth Mauls. This one here is the first ever Star Wars figure from Episode 1 that I bought. This was the day, like the weekend before the movie came out. Toys R Us out in Ross Township, near the Ross Park Mall in the Pittsburgh area, they opened up at midnight to sell the first batch of Star Wars figures, and there was only like one Darth Maul per every 3 cases of figures. So my friends and I do remember starting just tearing cases open looking for Darth Maul, even though we had no idea who or what Darth Maul was and what kind of a role he was going to play. This one I showed you before. It was just me finding Kylo Ren randomly. You really can't see him that well either, just based on the lighting in this room. I'm going to try and make that better for you. Yeah, it's a little better. Alright, so got Kylo Ren there. Just a couple more Star Wars cool ones. Got the Target exclusive red Darth Vader. I think that one's pretty cool. The thing that said 1 in 50,000 fell off of it a long time ago. This one I probably won't sell or trade just because it's signed. I met Darth Vader, David Prowse, at one of the Steel City cons here in Pittsburgh area, and he did sign that for me. So he was actually a pretty nice guy. And he is coming back, I believe, in April. So yeah, that one is not for sale. Alright, so that's it for Star Wars. I do have a Star Trek figure, the only one I own. That is Locutus of Borg. That's the only one I really think I should own, frankly. Just because that was a great episode. Great pair of episodes. Alright. So let's go on to some of the other weird ones here. As I come to a screeching halt. Alright. So found this this one at a media or a store, one of those media play type stores that was going out of business. That is the Master Chief from Halo 2. They didn't have a price tag on it, so he just said, I'll give it to you for $3. That was years ago. That was like 10 years ago. So I thought that was a good steal. Alright, so a long time ago, when my wife and I were dating, we used to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. She really had a thing for David Boreanaz, and I had a thing for Charisma Carpenter and Sarah Michelle Gellar, so it was a win-win. Alright, so she knew at the time I met my wife, when we were just dating, I did collect action figures. So for my birthday that year, she ended up getting me this Angel action figure, and it's just normal faced Angel there. And she found this one, which was a previews exclusive for that year, which escapes me. That's actually Vampire Angel. You can see that. So that was a previews exclusive figure. I believe she found that on eBay. So kept that one. I found this at a store called Babbage's. It was a video game store that went out of business at the Ross Park Mall. I used to live out that way, if you can't tell because I keep mentioning it. And they got put out of business by GameStop. So that is Mr. X. So this figure is really hard to find. I found this on eBay. Well, I mean, I've looked this up on eBay because I contemplated selling it. And it's selling for a lot in mint. This one, the card is not mint. The blister package is starting to break away there at the top. But the figure is mint, obviously. He's never been out of the package. He still has all of his parts with him. And that is quite possibly the scariest Resident Evil villain they've ever had. Ever. I don't think anybody's even come close to being as terrifying as Mr. X, especially when you're playing Resident Evil 2 in the dark. And you're not expecting it the first ever time you play, and he just busts through the wall twice in the same scene. Yeah, that's a pretty crazy character. So yeah, that's Mr. X. Pretty cool. It's definitely one of my favorites. Alright, speaking of favorite shows, I was a huge fan of Stargate SG-1. Not so much of Atlantis or Universe. But I did pick up a couple of Comic-Cons ago. Got a Black Ops Teal'c. For those of you who are fans of the show, you would know who Teal'c is. So that's actually the normal figure. He's wearing his Black Ops gear. And then I found this one at the same con. The guy gave me a deal on it. This is actually Teal'c wearing his Jaffa gear. The Jaffa were the Guardians of the Goa'uld in Stargate. So he's still wearing his gear. He's missing his helmet though. Doesn't have the serpent helmet. So that's kind of sad that they didn't put the serpent helmet in there, which would have been kind of cool. But anyway, it's still cool, the armor and everything like that. That says previews exclusive on it as well. Thinking about selling those. Not super attached to them. Alright, so non-Movie Maniacs. This was the Movie Maniacs ripoff here. The real toys. That is Pinhead. And if you can't tell, that was actually signed by Doug Bradley. He was a real nice guy too. I told him I was a huge fan of Hellraiser 2 because they actually developed his character in that one. I think he was happy to hear that. So that's pretty cool. That is the knockoff of the next group of toys I'm going to show you. So, all right. So these are kind of my favorites. I'll start with my my least favorite and work my way up. If I can find my least favorite. Talk about bringing the video to a screeching halt. Alright, so I'll skip my least favorite for now. I'm just going to start because I set it somewhere and I don't know what I did with it. Alright, so we've got the Crow. That's pretty cool, and that's from Movie Maniacs Series 2. Pretty cool there. Those are McFarlane toys, early McFarlane toys, like 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. Being that this series is real popular now, well, kinda on Stars. We've got Ash from the Army of Darkness. I think that's Series 4. You see it's got little Ash in there with the pitchfork. Chainsaw for the hand. Got the metal hand. One thing I really enjoyed about the McFarlane toys was the level of detail that was used in those. Well, the one I was going to show you really wasn't that exciting. So I'm okay with skipping it. Oh, I found it. Sorry, this place is a mess. I'm renovating. All right. No one I wasn't real excited about was Ghostface for Scream. That's also from Volume 2, as you can see the two. These are still carded. The only thing that's really wrong with these, the cards, some of the cards have seen better days because I've had these for going on almost 20 years now, some of them. And they're starting to get a little yellow too. All right, so let's start with the big three. We've got Michael Myers. This figure is actually pretty expensive. If you go to find this at a Comic-Con, this is Series 2 of McFarlane's Movie Maniacs. I've seen this figure selling for anywhere between $30 to $60 in this condition. Michael Myers is probably one of my favorite slashers, so highly unlikely that I will ever get rid of that one. Having met Robert Englund before, I did not get this signed because he charged $40 an autograph, but I did get a Freddy Krueger. I think that's from Volume, yeah, it's Movie Maniacs 4. I like that one. That's not the original Freddy. Original Freddy, he was packaged with his hat on. There were also really bloody variants of some of these too, but I never found them, and they were pretty expensive, if I recall. So the next one is my favorite out of the Movie Maniacs, and the last one that I'm going to show you, because that's all I have anymore. Jason Voorhees. This is from Volume 1 of Movie Maniacs. So you can see there's no one. The card, it's got some dings. So there were 3 versions of this Jason. You can see there's blood on the axe. There's blood on him, blood on the harpoon and then the machete. There's one that has no blood on it at all. And then there's one that's incredibly bloody, which is hard to find, which is the card itself, the interior, like the blister or bubble pack, is covered in blood on the inside, like a spray, as well as he's covered in blood, and there's just more blood everywhere. There's blood all over everything. So that one's a little harder to find. That's the one that's the most valuable of the 3, but this would be the second because this has all the bloody. This is the bloody variant, and there's a clean one too. So those are my figures. I hope you guys like this. Like I said, I wanted to do a little spotlight on these before I put them back in the attic. I also had some that I wanted to put in the attic that didn't make it up there, so putting all the Christmas crap away finally was enough for me to get these down and talk about them, because at one point in time, this was all I collected were carded figures as opposed to comics. I had taken a break from comics, as I said in my previous videos. So, all right. Well, that's my collection there. I'm looking forward to the comments. Like I said, I'm not above selling any of the ones that I mentioned. I probably won't get rid of the Movie Maniacs, just because I got a little sentimental attachment to them. But the rest of them, I could probably do without them. I'm sure I'd have some happy spouse person in the house that would want some of these collectibles gone, just due to the fact that they take up so much space. So, all right, folks. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate your time. Peace.